Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health TV and radio show. I'm your host, Sarah Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of three. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you're notified every week with my new podcasts on Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you haven't already, join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health, and you'll be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey in addition to truly taking control of your health. My goal is to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. So help me with that goal and share this podcast with a few of your friends who may need my help. Lung health. This is a big topic ever since 2020. If you haven't noticed, a lot of people are experiencing suboptimal lung function and have difficult breathing, which in turn affects energy output, your workouts, and daily functioning. And it definitely has been worsened by the toxicity in our diets, environments, and by the spike protein. Personally, I've been working out all my life, very good lung function, never had an issue. And in the last couple of years, even though I tested positive but never felt any symptoms of getting this so-called thing that went around, I did feel at times my lungs just not doing what they used to do. And yes, I know I'm getting older, but everything else was working fine. So we're going to get into what is going on. And first, I want to talk about the importance of the lung function. So it's vitally important to overall health and well-being. For number one, oxygenation. The primary function of the lungs is to facilitate the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the air we breathe and our bloodstream. Oxygen is essential for the functioning of every cell in our body, and adequate lung function ensures efficient oxygenation, allowing the cells, the tissues, and organs to carry out their functions optimally. This is something that we just take for granted because we don't even think about breathing, right? Respiratory health. It is crucial for maintaining the respiratory health. The lungs act as a filtration system, helping to remove the pollutants, the allergens, the pathogens from the air we inhale. And this is becoming more difficult with the amount of pollutants, allergens, and pathogens that we are breathing in. And they also produce mucus to trap and eliminate harmful particles and microorganisms. Good lung function supports the proper clearance of the mucus, reducing the risk of respiratory infections such as pneumonia and bronchitis. Now, I mentioned that in the last couple of years that I've had a little bit of an issue with my lungs, but breathing has never been an issue. Asthma, allergies, never one of my issues, but I always say God gives me a challenge in a different way, so I learn how to overcome it. And my middle child, ever since she was a baby, not only did she have anemia, but she had allergies and asthma. And I always joke that at the age of like 4 years old, I loved her, but I really didn't like her because she was so difficult. She didn't want to get out of bed. She didn't want to change. She didn't want to ride her bike around the block because she had no energy, but she also had issues breathing. And we would try to put her in AYSO soccer. And I'll never forget, we show up to the soccer field and her allergies and her breathing just got labored. So we then went home real quick, loaded her up on the supplements that we're going to talk about, and she was able to then breathe again. So natural solutions do help. Now, this was way back when I didn't even know about the diet that was going to cause issues. So the lung function, if you can't breathe, you die. There was another instance where she got really sick with just the flu, and it affected her breathing to the point where I was watching her breathe as she was sleeping. And I don't know if any of you moms out there have ever had to do that, where you literally are watching your child to breathe and you take for granted just the normal daily functions of life that we don't even think twice about. But when the lungs are working so hard to get the air in, you need that, obviously, otherwise you die. So I have a newfound respect for the lungs, and it's amazing when they work right. And that's why we're talking about it today. So I just wanted to give you that little insight into my own experience and that daughter who was having asthma, allergies, which would have never allowed her to do aerobic exercise. Are you kidding me? She could hardly run on the soccer field. She would look at the flowers, and the rest of the girls were just way ahead and following the ball around. Well, now that girl is going off to college and rowing. And if any of you have been on a rowing machine, you know that it's not just a strength machine. You need a lot of muscles, but you need to have aerobic capacity. It's probably second to cross-country skiing. It's probably the second most aerobic and difficult sport out there. So if she's able to do that, that shows that we have been able to overcome this. So with that respiratory health, you then also have, like I mentioned, the physical performance. So the efficient lung function is essential for endurance and physical performance. And my daughter would not be able to do what she's doing if she did not have optimal lung function. So during exercise or strenuous activities, the demand for oxygen increases, and the lungs need to deliver that oxygen to the working muscles at an accelerated rate. And this is also why sports teams go to altitude to train, because there's less oxygen there. So it's getting the pump and the lungs to work harder and to get in better shape for when they're going to compete at sea level. And I know that when I go hiking in the mountains, I'll have 80-year-old locals just pass right by me because they are in amazing lung health and aerobic health because they are trained in that altitude. So you need that optimal lung function for the adequate oxygen supply to the body, allowing for the improved athletic performance and endurance. And lastly, you want a better quality of life. The healthy lungs contribute to an improved quality of life in general. Activities such as climbing stairs, walking, participating in your recreational activities become easier and less exhausting. That's why it's so important as you get older, go walk, get outside, and have your buddy or a dog to encourage you to keep moving, because when you stop moving, you die. So what are the common lung issues that people suffer from? Like I mentioned with my daughter, asthma. It's a chronic condition characterized by inflammation. Remember, inflammation is the root of all disease, and asthma is no different. Narrowing of the airways leading to recurring episodes of wheezing, shortness of breath, chest tightening, and coughing. Triggers for asthma attacks can vary from person to person and may include allergens, histamines, inflammatory foods, exercise, respiratory infections, and irritants like smoke and strong odors. Then you've got COPD. This is a progressive lung disease that includes conditions such as chronic bronchitis and emphysema. It's typically caused by long-term exposure to irritants like cigarette smoke and results in the gradual obstruction of airflow. Symptoms include persistent coughs, shortness of breath, wheezing, and excessive production of mucus. Then you have pneumonia, and a lot of people who are suffering from the current virus will then get pneumonia because it progresses into the lungs and takes over. Pneumonia is an infection that causes inflammation in the air sacs of the lungs. It can be caused by various microorganisms, not just viruses, but bacteria and fungi. And that's why a lot of times doctors, when you have pneumonia or you're coughing, they will do an x-ray, try to figure out if it's a bacteria or a virus, because obviously, or hopefully, they don't prescribe an antibiotic if it's caused by a virus, right? Common symptoms include cough, fever, chills, chest pain, shortness of breath, and fatigue. And it can range from mild to severe, and complications can arise, especially in older adults and individuals with weakened immune systems. Then you also have pulmonary embolism, and this occurs when a blood clot, typically originating from the leg, travels to the lungs and blocks a blood vessel. This can lead to a sudden decrease in blood oxygen levels and cause symptoms such as sudden onset of shortness of breath, chest pain, rapid breathing, coughing up blood, and sometimes fainting. Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is an infectious disease caused by a bacteria, and it primarily affects the lungs, but it can affect other parts of the body. Symptoms of active TB include persistent cough, weight loss, fatigue, fever, night sweats, and chest pains. And lastly, lung cancer. And lung cancer is a malignant tumor that starts in the cells of the lungs. It's strongly associated with smoking, but can also occur in non-smokers due to other factors such as exposure to secondhand smoke, occupational hazards like asbestos, environmental toxins, and also genetic predispositions. So what are the causes of the poor lung function? I alluded to it before, just with me in the last couple years, tested positive a couple times, but never had any symptoms. However, when I feel like I'm around other people that may have been exposed, and that spike protein wakes up in my body, because it's in all of us now, regardless of your situation, unless you've been hiding under a rock in Antarctica. But the spike protein is associated with the virus, affects the ACE2 receptor in the liver. This is known to affect the lungs and the cardiovascular system, among other essential areas in the body. And where there's a buildup of this ACE2 in the liver from the spike protein, you get increased vasoconstriction, increased fibrosis, increased antidiuretic hormones, so you're retaining more water, increased aldosterone, which is a stress hormone, increased sodium retention, oxidative stress, inflammation in the lungs and the body. So any inflammation throughout the body is going to cause disease, but that's going to also go to the lungs. You're also going to get an over-exaggerated histamine response. Maybe you didn't get bothered by histamines before, but now you do. All of a sudden, it's kind of like that tipping point when your immune system has had just too many things hit it at once. And then it says, I'm done. I can't do it anymore, and has this over-exaggerated inflammatory and histamine response. Then you also might see an increase in fibroids, insulin dysregulation. So you might have an over-exaggerated insulin response, which insulin's a fat-storing hormone. That's where the unexplained fat gain has come out. And an increase in hormonal imbalance. So as a result of the inflammation, the vasoconstriction, and oxidative stress, the lung function can be compromised, making it more difficult to breathe and just more labored. So let me know if this sounds like you. Leave a comment below. I want to hear from you. Have you experienced a difference in your lung function over the last couple years? Then you add in leaky gut. So I was listening to Karan Krishnan, who's going to be coming on the podcast next week talking about gut health. And he said that in one of his studies, he took 22-year-olds who are healthy, right? No gut issues whatsoever, or they didn't think they did, right? Great digestion, felt great, normal, healthy 22-year-olds. It's not 30 or 40. 55% of those in the study had leaky gut. No one knew it. You can have leaky gut and have different symptoms other than just being gassy or bloated or constipated. So if these people, over 50% of the 20-year-olds had leaky gut, how many of the 40, 50, and 60-year-olds do you think have leaky gut? My guess is over 90%. Leaky gut causes systemic inflammation, including in the lungs, in addition to causing new food allergies to arise that also can lead to lung allergies and asthma. So a food that you were fine eating 5 years ago might now be causing inflammation in the body. It might be just a little bit of inflammation, but a little bit of inflammation could be going to your lungs, causing allergies and asthma and labored breathing. Then we also have an increased exposure to toxins. So not just is there more leaky gut and some of the foods that are causing the issue and the spike protein, but we've got this huge bombardment of new and new level of toxins in the world, with an increase in heavy metals in our water and our food supply and our air that we breathe, radiation, 5G, smart meters, GMOs, glyphosate, and now the GMOs and glyphosate are even hitting the organic crops, even if we're trying to eat as clean as we can. All of these are backing up our detox pathways, especially in the liver, and then the systemic inflammation and oxidative stress increase. This will inflame the lung tissues as well as causing more lung issues. Then you add in increased allergens. So with gut issues and autoimmune issues on the rise and the increase in the toxins in our food and environment, more people are experiencing allergies. Histamine levels may increase, causing the inflammation throughout the body, including in the lungs. So like I said, you might not have had an issue with histamines before, and now you do. And two of the most high histamine foods are actually the most healthy, ketogenic, low carb foods: avocados and bone broth. And here, a lot of people are probably trying to lose weight and getting off of the sugar, and they're eating these tons of avocado, loading up on the fat. It's the healthy nature food, and bone broth diets, bone broth fasts. They're all the trend now. They're full of histamines, and they could be making things more difficult, and especially for the lungs. The most common allergens are casein, which is part of the protein from dairy, shellfish, peanuts, soy. Soy is the vegan protein, right? Soy is full of GMO, and it's soy on its own is one of the top allergens. Eggs is amazing, full of nutrients, choline, all of these great nutrient, protein, ketogenic, wild, you can get it organic, great, right? But a lot of people are allergic to it. And we're going to get into the sulfur part of it. The sulfur is, there's in the egg yolk is sulfur. The egg white can actually trigger viral activity in the body if you are fighting a virus. So if you're fighting a virus, you might want to stay away from the egg whites. Now, away from that, eggs are an amazing food. And that's more of something you need to listen to your own body. Eliminate them for 2 weeks, reintroduce it without reintroducing any other new food, and see how your body reacts. And that will help you understand your own body's reaction to eggs. Corn is also one of the most highly allergenic foods, and gluten, of course. Other triggers could be dandelion, which a lot of people use for detoxing their kidneys, sunflower seeds, melons, and zucchini. So you just have to read your own body, become your best doctor. Moldy foods could be causing issues. Foods that contain mold can trigger inflammation in the lungs. These foods include grapes, mushrooms, and I just talked about mushrooms, how they can be healthy, but a lot of mushroom supplements are full of mold. Lentils, honey, corn, once again, peanuts, berries, peas, grains, beans, and more. And the grains and beans, they have lectins, which could be causing issues as well. Then you add in the histamine intolerance. Now I'm going to dive a little deeper into histamine. I know I mentioned it, but histamine is a chemical compound that it's naturally produced by the body as a part of the immune response. So it's a good thing. It plays a crucial role in a lot of different physiological processes and is involved in allergic reactions and inflammation. So what it's doing with the immune response, histamine's released by certain immune cells, such as mast cells, in response to injury, infections, or allergens. It acts as a signaling molecule, triggers an inflammatory response to defend the body against potential threats. So it's a good thing, but we just don't want it triggered by things we don't need it, because then it's going to cause more inflammation in the body and the lungs. So with allergic reactions, histamine is released in response to harmless substances such as pollen, pet dander, or certain foods. And this release of histamine leads to symptoms associated with allergies, including the sneezing, itching nose, watery eyes, skin rashes, and also labored breathing. And then the inflammatory response. So it causes blood vessels to dilate, making them more permeable, which allows immune cells and other substances to reach the site of inflammation. And this increased blood flow and permeability contributes to the redness, swelling, and warmth that are often observed during that inflammation. So we want to have histamine reactions, right? We want our body to be able to do it, but excessive or dysregulated histamine release can lead to allergic reactions and related to conditions like asthma, allergic rhinitis, and hives. And eating high histamine foods makes the problem worse. And eating foods with sulfur can trigger a histamine response, causing asthma and lung issues. And that's when we're gonna get into the sulfur foods and what are they and how that works. So how do you improve lung function? So I'm really excited to tell you that even in my own team, my backbone of my company got COVID this last week, or I should not even say that. She got a viral infection, right? So she went to the doctors and was doing everything the doctors say, but what she added in, and this is her testimonial, is she added in the accelerated scalar silver and nebulized it into her lungs. And why that works is that not only is the accelerated scalar silver devitalizing foreign pathogens that it can inhibit lung function, but it also helps reduce inflammation in the lungs. And so this is the only nanoparticle silver enhanced with scalar frequencies and treated with a water implosion technology to improve its efficacy beyond any other silver supplement. So we put it through a water implosion technology that helps restructure it so it's more efficient at doing what it's supposed to do. We embed frequencies in there to go after specific viruses and to actually help heal the thymus and to take shock out of the body. So we do that with all of our accelerated health supplements. We take the shock out of the body, but the accelerated scalar silver is enhanced with specific frequencies to help with the immune system and to go after what we're talking about. So I have to be very careful with how I speak of this, but I also want to remind everybody that this is the one supplement that started my business. If it did not work, there would be no accelerated health products, essentially. It is the backbone of this business. It should be in every household. I use it topically to spray on my skin, into my eyes, to help with inflammation when my vision goes blurry, especially after I'm staring at the screen too long and talking to you. But it's also great for wounds, healing, and that sort of thing. So this was what helped my daughter when she was 4 years old, and we started on this path of healing her asthma and her allergies. This was the only supplement that I had. There was no other supplement that that I had access to, and that was before I even knew anything about food and diet and what the problems that could be causing. All we had was the silver and a nebulizer, and my goodness, it would bring her out of a 911 call, essentially. So the accelerated scalar silver is the number one supplement for your lung health. Next to that is the accelerated iodine. So when I tell people if they've got some labored breathing issues, alternate between nebulizing the silver and then nebulizing the accelerated iodine. Now, with the accelerated iodine, it does need to be diluted. It is so potent. So make sure you are diluting it. I recommend about 6 drops to about 2 tablespoons of water. Iodine is known to devitalize all foreign pathogens that can inhibit the lung function, including viruses, bacteria, candida, parasites, and fungus. It's also anti-inflammatory, reduces inflammation in the lungs that could be causing your breathing issues. And it's also helping optimize thyroid function and metabolism, both which affect lung function. I know because I can feel myself go hyper and hypothyroid. During the month, my thyroid will go up and down within a small range. I'm super sensitive to my own body, so I can tell. And when I'm hypo, I feel my breathing more labored. So that is really important when you're doing the iodine. It helps optimize your thyroid function. It helps reverse hypothyroidism, helps increase the metabolism, fat oxidation. It increases ATP production by 18 times. So you're getting 18 times more ATP in your mitochondria. That's your cellular health. So you're smart. Think about it. If your lungs, or if your ATP is increasing even in your lungs, in those cells, then those little energy factors are working better at producing energy and having more optimal function. So that is really important. And lastly, the accelerated iodine is the only iodine that may help reverse the damage done to the DNA by the spike protein. So it is helping with that reverse damage of what we've all gone through in the last 3 years. So I have to be careful with how I talk about that as well. So those are the 2 most important supplements when it comes to lung function. Now, additionally, accelerated keto. The story behind this one, I will never forget. My son was in water polo. He started, those kids were working so hard, and the coaches pushed them so hard with their aerobic activity. And he started on the keto, and he came home and he goes, "Mom, it's really weird. I am not breathing very hard to get across the pool like I used to, and I don't need a lot of time to recover like I used to." And I remember when I was doing strength yoga classes that actually were more cardio, I would be doing the workout and I wasn't even breathing hard. And it's because when you're in ketosis, your body's not only burning fat and ketones for energy, it's like a clean burning fuel. Imagine the Tesla versus the gas guzzling Suburban, right? There's not very much exhaust and waste that comes out of the cells when it's burning ketones. So as the accelerated keto kicks you into ketosis, you're increasing that ATP by at least 10 times that cellular energy, but you're burning a much cleaner fuel with less waste. And as a result, less oxygen is needed to breathe and less oxidative stress is released in the body, both factors that are taking the pressure off of the lungs. It's like you're breathing and your muscles are working as hard as they used to, but you're not breathing and working as hard. And furthermore, the inflammation in the lungs and throughout the body is minimized with the combination of the accelerated keto and intermittent fasting. And autophagy is triggered, which helps clean up the damaged cells and foreign pathogens that could be leading to poor lung function. So the accelerated keto and intermittent fasting really are another tool that you can be using to help with your lung function. and you just feel better with more energy physically and mentally. And you're targeting that belly fat and that visceral fat and that liver fat, as the accelerated keto is breaking down the liver fat from the saturated fats into the unsaturated fats to burn it much more efficiently and much more quickly. Accelerated scalar copper. So this is really interesting. The air we breathe is 19% dioxygen, and copper is able to negate the oxidizing power of dioxygen. And copper also may limit the side effects of free radicals, which could be leading to suboptimal lung function. And the accelerated scalar copper is the only liquid form of copper that I know that can be nebulized directly into the lungs. It's 99% bioavailable, enhanced with healing scalar frequencies, and energized through that same water implosion technology system as the accelerated silver. Mind you, no other company incorporates this water implosion technology that Accelerated Health Products does. I believe there's maybe 5 of these systems in the world, and none of them are being used as a supplement enhancer. So you are getting something that no other company can provide with the accelerated scalar copper, silver, and then of course the gold as well. But it's really nice to know that accelerated copper you can actually nebulize into your lungs as well. Ceramide. So ceramide is serapeptase, or a proteolytic enzyme that helps break down the spike protein, which has worsened lung function for most people. The spike protein is both protein and lipid component. So lipid is fat, and ceramide breaks down the proteins and fats and acts as a vacuum cleaner for that spike protein fragments all over throughout the body and cleaning it up. And it's anti-inflammatory, helps lung function. That's what it was known for before the spike protein came around. But it's also been shown to help with limiting the ability of biofilm to form in the body, minimizing bacteria, and considering 80% of bacterial infections are caused by biofilm. This is important. You can also use a supplement called Clear Air. This is a Chinese herbal remedy that we've used when there's been issues with asthma, or maybe coming out of a pneumonia issue, or needing extra lung support during those heavy workouts. That's where Clear Air came in. It's known to help with chronic bronchitis, asthma, and bronchial asthma. It's also used to treat cough or chronic cough with phlegm, wheezing, and chest pain associated with smoking and air pollution. Adrenaline. Adrenaline supports the adrenals and addresses burnout, restores energy, mental acuity, and supports the adrenal, pituitary, and thyroid glands. So as the adrenals have been depleted by the spike protein, the adrenaline has been one of my staples, and I take it daily. It slows down the inflammation caused by histamines and helps alleviate a labored breathing. This formula helps the conversion of blood sugar into energy, calms the nerves, increases circulatory delivery of oxygen to the tissues. It may help regulate heartbeat, lower blood pressure and cholesterol, and regulates the intestines. So that's something that you might want to consider if you're feeling extra fatigued and labored breathing, and this is new in the last couple of years. So yes, we need to incorporate the lung supplements into your routine. However, making the other lifestyle changes go hand in hand with getting that lung health optimized. And number one, eliminating the processed foods and the seed oils. I'm hammering this because it makes a difference. Processed foods and seed oils like canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, peanut oil, rice bran oil, they're extremely inflammatory to the body. So inflammatory that they stay in the body for over a year. So yes, that one meal out to dinner, having that canola oil as part of the olive oil vinegar dressing that the restaurant is using, is going to affect you for a year. Now, Having the dessert out to dinner, that sugar, is going to stay in your body for 24 hours. So it's in and out. And yeah, it's going to cause some inflammation. But the processed foods and the seed oils are doing so much more damage. As a result, breathing becomes more difficult, oxygen utilization is hindered, and you might even feel like stuffy. If you're feeling stuffy after a meal, you know you ate something that was extremely inflammatory. Processed foods include most any food that comes in a package. That includes these protein keto bars and these keto snacks and all these healthy foods. And you even have to look at the organic soups that are at Whole Foods. They have canola oil in them. So look on the back of the package. Most of these foods usually include ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, the fake sugars, canola oil, peanut oil, and rice bran oil. Not only are these foods inflammatory, but they strip the gut of its mucosal lining, causing that leaky gut that we talked about a minute ago. Leaky gut is directly related to the allergies and many of the autoimmune issues that can affect your lung health. Focusing on eating the wild animal protein. Most people can safely eat wild animal protein without any allergies or intolerances. Wild animal protein provides the most dense nutrients than any other food without any of the common allergens. And these high protein preservative-free foods also help support all the muscles, the tissues, the organs, including the lungs. Bison, lamb, wild fish, deer, elk, Cornish game hen. Those are all great examples, and they're so much more available now than they were 3 or 4 years ago. North Star Bison is my go-to. I believe the link will be below, and I also have a coupon that you can use when you order from them. But I've tested all of their meats, and they're delicious, and they pass the taste test in my family, which is hard to do. If you're someone who eats very little meat, or you're vegan, and it was because you had a bad reaction to meats in the past, my guess is it was from chicken or poultry or from conventional beef. These foods, the chicken, conventional beef, pork, even turkey, can be inflammatory due the GMOs, the glyphosate, inflammatory foods that these animals are eating. They have amyloid proteins in them. What that means is those are these misfolded proteins that can trigger gut pathogens like E. coli or Salmonella or H. pylori to wreak havoc and cause these inflammatory and allergic responses. And this may lead to suboptimal lung function as well. So you might not have a piece of chicken that has E. coli in it, but that chicken allows the E. coli that's in your gut in this nice ecosystem with the good and the bad bacteria to overtake the good bacteria. And then also these meats that have the amyloids actually increase the more of the amyloids to be produced because of the spike protein. So there's this domino effect. So you want to eliminate these amyloid proteins and the poultry and conventional beef and pork. You want to eliminate the moldy foods. So the mold foods can trigger that inflammation in the body, and that, like I mentioned, grapes, mushrooms, lentils, honey, corn, peanuts, berries, peas, greens, beans, and more. And so on my accelerated food guide list, which you can find on the website, and I go over in my group coaching that's free on Telegram, make sure you check that out below. I have a list of all these foods. And so you can look to see what foods are on the yes list, what foods are on the no list, what foods are on the limit list, or maybe be careful with. And then you also want to eliminate the high histamine foods. So what are those? Those, once again, can trigger the inflammation in the lungs, but that includes alcohol, fermented foods, the kombucha, the kavita that we love to drink, aged foods, some fish and shellfish, the bone broth, dairy, grains, avocados, tomatoes, soy. Soy, you guys, soy is on all of these different lists. Soy is something to stay away from. Eliminate the sulfur foods. So foods high in sulfur could be triggering a histamine response in addition to backing up your liver. And when the liver's backed up, no toxins can be processed or eliminated out of the body, which further exaggerates the inflammatory response. So go back to the liver. You got to love your liver and do the liver flush 3 to 4 times a year. I'm doing them once a month now with the heavy burden of toxins that we're under. And the more you cleanse your liver, the more you're able to tolerate some of these foods we're talking about, including the sulfur foods. Foods that are high in sulfur include broccoli. Yes, broccoli, one of the foods that everyone thinks is so healthy for you. Cauliflower, onions, garlic, egg yolks, like I mentioned, kale. Kale not only has sulfur, but it's also an oxalate. So you've got a double whammy. So killer kale, stay away from it. Some of your medications and supplements like MSM and glutathione also may contain sulfur. So really important to limit these foods. And like I mentioned, the Accelerated Health Food Guide goes through all of these foods, gives you all of these amazing foods that are on the yes list, because you're listening going, Sarah, what do I eat? You just listed off all the foods I eat. Now I give you a list of foods that you can eat. So wild animal proteins, your base. Really start with the supplements, the accelerated silver, the acceleradine, and the accelerated keto. That is going to give you this good basis. Intermittent fast, break your fast with wild animal protein. That is going to bump up your glucagon to insulin ratio, which means that your fat burning goes up. And then incorporate the vegetables that work with your body. Vegetables that I keep in the house that work for everybody is asparagus, artichokes, romaine lettuce, Bibb lettuce, lamb lettuce, cucumbers, zucchini, bell pepper. Those seem to work for everybody. And yes, cucumbers might have some lectins, but they're not as high in lectins as the grains and the lentils that really cause the issues. You can also add in the glutathione patch, stem cell patch. So I mentioned that glutathione is a sulfur-based supplement, so it's really hard to take it if you have backed up liver or sulfur detox issues. Well, glutathione through the patch is actually allowing your body to produce its own glutathione. It increases glutathione by 300% in 24 hours, and it's known to be the master antioxidant, detoxifier, immune booster. It's helping with your immune system in general, helps with fending off any viral activity, especially as we're getting into the fall coming up and flu season will be coming. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty bad, actually, just with what has been going on. When you wear it with the X39 stem cell activation patch, your glutathione production increases to 400%. So glutathione is also antiviral, and it helps with all types of diseases. You then can use the energy enhancer. So that's the one that I wear on my wrist. There's 2 patches, a white and a brown one. It increases energy and endurance, reduces fatigue and muscle soreness, and it helps burn extra calories, over 300 a day. But what I feel is a strengthening of all my organs. It drains the dampness and phlegm out of the body. So that's, of course, going to help with your lung function. And it helps with the chi, or the life force in the body, helps with beta oxidation and fat burning. You can also use the carnosine patch, which is really great for improving strength, stamina, and of course helping with lifespan. But what I like for the carnosine is the endurance aspect, and that will help improve your lung function as well. So I hope that helped going through all of these issues. I know in my house we have dealt with the lung function, and it's related to your heart function. So you always want to look to your heart. And all of these diseases link back to toxicity and insulin resistance, which most people are suffering from nowadays. So you want to address your insulin resistance first and foremost, and most of your chronic diseases are going to go away, including your lung issues. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you for joining me today. Let me know what you heard or learned. Did you learn anything about your lung issues and what it might be triggered by? Has it gotten worse over the last couple of years, or has it always been bad? And what have you tried? What doesn't work? And if you've tried anything I've talked about and it's worked, let me know. And you can also contact me with your health issues through my website, sarahbantahealth.com. Happy to put together a personalized protocol for you. And join the free group coaching with the link below in Telegram. All you do is download the Telegram link and then click on the link. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health. And you will be a part of a group that's going to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, and across over 100 channels under Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show, including YouTube, Stitcher, Pandora, Apple, iHeartRadio, whatever podcast platform you subscribe to. My goal, as I mentioned, is to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. So please help me with that goal and share this podcast with a few of your friends who may need my help. You can join us every week on Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, and you can find all of the supplements and the podcast on my website, sarahbantahealth.com. Use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us here on Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show, and have a great week.